world over so easy to see. People everywhere just wanna be free.
Hello, I'm Steve Cubby, Libertarian for President. As I've watched the American economy implode over the last few months, it's become increasingly clear that we can't entrust the situation to politicians in Washington, D.C. Unfortunately, our current leaders are far more interested in preserving their monopoly on power than in preserving the money in your bank account, your equity in your home, or the future of your children. And since we cannot trust our political leaders to act appropriately on our behalf, we must instruct them as to the measures we require them to take. I'm going to detail those measures to you in just a moment, but first I want to discuss the solid foundation that is the bedrock of the American economy. The fundamental building blocks of the American economy are sound. We are producers. We are innovators. We create value, and it is that value which both sustains our standard of living and makes our economy the mainstream of global economy. So long as we remain producers and innovators, we will remain capable of pulling ourselves out of recession or even depression. Bottom line, we can still save our economy, but only if we take corrective action now. As the first piece of our economic stimulus package, I ask you to join me in calling for a tax holiday, an end to assessment of federal income taxes, an end to the practice of withholding those projected taxes from the paychecks of American workers. The immediate effect of this tax holiday will be to leave more money in your pocket. You'll take more money home with you every paycheck. Money you can use to save your home in the wake of the mortgage meltdown. Money you can use to replace your aging automobile. Money you can spend on things you decide to spend it on. As you and everyone else begins upgrading your life, factories will call back laid-off workers to increase production and meet new demand. New jobs will come into existence, and your standard of living will improve measurably. Of course, this means that the government will have to learn to spend less. Like you or anyone else, the government will have to downsize and get smarter about what it does to serve the public. Cuts in government spending will come in two different areas. Discretionary spending will get the axe. That's all the thousands of government programs which have grown like a cancer and have produced one failure after another. Then there's the 800-pound gorilla everyone keeps ignoring, the exploding national debt. Just paying the interest on the government's staggering debt consumes all the money the government collects from income taxes. Meanwhile, we also need to force the government to cease and desist in accumulating any further public debt. For decades, speculators have been happy to put their trust in the full faith and credit of the U.S. government. So much so, they've encouraged that government to exhaust its credibility and your wealth with deficit spending year after year after year. After taking a large portion of your income each year, every year, in direct taxes, the politicians decided to buy even more on credit than they had money for. And they decided to stick you and your children and your grandchildren with the bill. It's time for our debt-addicted government to go cold turkey while we consider how to deal with their irresponsible addiction to debt. Should we repudiate the debt that our politicians have run up in our name? That question of repudiating the debt has thus far been forbidden topic, but at $9 trillion and counting, it's going to have to be asked. Now is the time to start thinking about how and whether that debt will be discharged. Between now and the end of the year, it will be up to Congress to get its head out of the sand, take notice of the damage the federal government has done to our nation's economy, and begin to take corrective action. Between now and the end of the year, it will be up to you to consider whether or not you're willing to continue paying income taxes just to pay the interest on the government's escalating debt. It will be up to you to consider whether or not you're willing to bail Washington out of its own self-incurred bankruptcy. And it will be up to you to choose the next Congress and the next President of the United States. It's imperative that you choose wisely. If the current Congress will not act to save the nation's economy, choose representatives who will. If the presidential nominees of the two major parties refuse to endorse real economic stimulus now and to offer a rational plan for the way forward, then I offer myself to you as a presidential candidate who is offering you economic stimulus now and who does offer a rational plan for the way forward. I am not optimistic that our current political leadership will act responsibly to deal with the exploding public debt. I can, however, confidently state that the Libertarian Party and its candidates, from the presidential race all the way down to your state legislatures, county commissions, and county councils, stand with you in demanding that we turn away from economic ruin and towards fiscal sanity. Thanks for stopping by. Good evening, and let freedom grow.